going to transition to our next guest. And actually, we're going to stay in the software sphere a bit more. We're going to talk to Martin Aarnoudse of OVSoftware. He also is a guest today at the Digital Summit Euregio that you're now actually listening to and are visiting. You can use our hashtag DSE 2021 for your own messages, but also, of course, if you type this into the search bar of your social media channel of choice, then you can find all the content that has been posted online. Also, I think it's good to know that afterwards all the separate videos will be put on the website, digitalsummit.eu, so you can find all the videos of the talks today there as well. If you want to get in touch with our participants and with our speakers directly, you can just write them through the Teams chat, and of course also the Wonder networking app is also at your disposal. And in Wonder, also the organizers and the sponsors of today can also be found. So this means actually that if you want to talk to the IHK Noordwestfalen or to Oostenel, one of the two organizers, you can also go into the Wonder app and also talk with them if you have any questions. For example, also about programs, subsidies, the one that Maurice mentioned of Total Reality. He talked about the Interreg program, but there are many more programs that if you want to actually collaborate with a Dutch or with a German company, then there is always some small amount available if you want to start with an exploration of the possibilities. But of course, all the parties that are our sponsor and organizers today can help you with this. So this was kind of like a commercial break in between. Of course, this event is also being paid for by these lovely sponsors and organizers, so thank you so much. Martin Aarnoudse of OVSoftware is the next one that we are going to talk with. Martin, are you there?
Yes, thank you very much, Karim.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here today and talking about trust and transparency. Two very big words, very abstract terms, but I think that you're going to make them a little bit more concrete with your presentation. You have 20 minutes and afterwards we'll come back for a Q&A. How do you like it so far?
Yes, fantastic. Yes, and well, thanks for the great moderation of you. Yes.
Yes, okay, but thank you for all the content and thank you for what you have prepared. Your slides are ready, I hope?
Yes, they are. I'm sharing them now.
Yes, I can actually see them, so you're ready and set, so go.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, trust through transparency. Well, as you said, they are very big words. But my subtitle is a little bit smaller to narrow it down. It's blockchain in the floral industry. Imagine, last year I was flying around in space. I was not dreaming. With people from all over the world, we gathered in the biggest online mass collaboration arena called Odyssey Momentum. And in that year before, 2019, we also participated in the Odyssey hackathon. And then with 1,500 people from all over the world, we gathered in the sugar factory, the suikerfabriek in Groningen, in the north of the Netherlands. And developers, experts, government, institutions, companies, we worked together to solve 19 challenges, from cargo to firefighting, from energy to pensions. And in that edition, so in 2019, we participated in the APG track, and APG is a pension service provider, to rethink retirement. And that time we won with a voting solution. And what we proposed there is that for every euro as an employee you pay to your pension fund, you get a retirement token in return. And with that retirement token, you can vote on projects that APG should invest in. And in that way, you can shape the future of yourself and the future of your children. So you have a say in your pension funds. And the plan for 2020 was to also host the event in Groningen, but well, as we know it, COVID changed the world, and to use the full potential of the internet, the Odyssey team set themselves a terrific challenge, and they created Odyssey Momentum. You can see that on the screen. And well, as I said, it's the biggest online mass collaboration arena there is around. And we flew around in that arena for, well, around 48 hours and solved big problems with the newest technology like artificial intelligence and blockchain. And this time we successfully solved a problem in the track circular economy for freight packaging. And that challenge was set by TVM, a logistics insurance company in the Netherlands. And today I want to take you on that journey of discovering the problem and solution of that challenge. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Martin Aarnoudse, working at OVSoftware in the role of consultant, and I am specialized in blockchain. And OVSoftware is founded in the Netherlands in 1972, so that's nearly 50 years ago. But we're also based in Münster, and we make tailor-made software for, well, diverse clients, from factories to government, from the dairy chain to logistics. And the office I am currently working is located in The Hague. And my personal goal is to help people to together create solutions for real problems. And in the floral sector, there is a real problem. You see, around 8% of the trolleys are lost or damaged or counterfeited every year. And that's a problem that needs to be addressed. And during the Odyssey Momentum, we proposed a solution and we won the track for that. Now let's zoom in on that problem of the lost and damaged trolleys, because there are a few other problems regarding trolleys. And if you don't know what a trolley is, you can see it on the left-hand side of my presentation. A few problems are, the first one is traceability. Where are my trolleys in the whole chain? The second one is inconsistent administration. Every part is doing their own administration and is typing data and data over and over again, and well, you create inconsistency there. And the third problem that you create there is that the wrong party is paying for the damage or loss of the trolleys. In the current situation, flowers are transported in fast-on trolleys, and that's a Danish trolley or a Dutch trolley from the grower. You see that in the top level of my picture, to the auction. In Holland we have Royal Flora Holland, and to the railer, to the retailer. That's in the bottom side of the image. And that's only the loaded part, but the trolleys also have to go back empty from the retailer to the depot or to the auction. And that's a problem, because who cares about empty trolleys? And if a retailer receives 20 trolleys with flowers, he might eventually use 2 of them to store other items in his shop and send 18 back empty. And at the end, in the depot or at the auction, they are registered as lost, but physically they are not lost. It's only in the administration that they are lost, but physically they are at the retailer. And the administration of trolleys is based on balances. The auction has 20 loaded trolleys out and got 18 empty trolleys returned. So who is going to pay for this? Well, where are the 2 other trolleys? Did they leave the auction? Did they arrive at the retailer? Has the retailer returned them, or are they on another depot out of sight? And if you want to know, you have to go back through the whole chain, and well, that's nearly impossible to do. Even when you think that the administration of trolleys, the checks and balances are done a few months after the event has taken place. And I can tell you in person that the administration of trolleys is, well, a very stressful job. There are people which job it is to get the trolley administration right, and that is really a nightmare. So what do we got? We got lost trolleys. inconsistent administration, stressed out employees, and the wrong party is paying for the loss or damage of the trolley. And it's all because everyone is using their own system, is entering the same data over and over again, and the data is not being shared because trust is low, and with all that, the transparency is low. Can we build or create trust so that parties are willing to share data? Maybe, but most likely not. You see, trust has to be earned. You cannot build or create trust. It has to be earned. It's a feeling. And you can earn trust by being consistent, by showing your expertise, and by building good relationships. And in that, relationships is the most important one. But can we build transparency here? Well, of course we can, but be very thoughtful about what you share. And only share the data that is for your own benefit, but also for the benefit of others. So create a win-win situation. And if the data you are sharing is consistent and correct, you as a source of data will be trusted more and more. And if everyone is doing that, and that's what we're getting back out of the sector, is that you automatically see that the quality of the chain and the quality of the data grows. So what kind of solution did we propose for this problem? And remember, we were in a hackathon online and we brainstormed until 3 a.m. and we came to the conclusion that in this case, we have to offer a blockchain protocol solution. You see, everyone is using their own system. So if we introduce a new system or a new application, that is not the solution, because if everyone is using the same system, it is way easier to share data. But while everyone is using their own system with their own tailor-made software on top of it, it is not a good solution. I said blockchain protocol. And in this case, a protocol is a set of rules and agreements for sharing the data. And every party that uses the protocol agrees with the rules and knows exactly how to share, what to share, and how to receive the data. The blockchain is an immutable, open, distributed ledger of transactions. And in this case, only used as a point of reference. We only storing a few keys on the blockchain, not all the data. And why is blockchain of added value in this case? Well, let's have a look at the decision tree of Homeland Security once you use blockchain. You can see it on the screen. There are a lot of decision trees out there, but this is really a good one, I think. And if you ask yourself these questions, well, let's start with the first one. Do you need a shared consistent data source? You can also translate it, do I need to store data? Because if you don't need to store data, then of course you do not need a ledger, a distributed ledger like blockchain. But if you need to share data, to write data, the next question is, am I the only one, or are there other people who are writing the data into the same data store? And if not, you can, well, simply use a database, give everyone read writes, and then you have your solution there. But if there are more people writing and reading, the next question is, the data we write, once written, will never be updated or deleted. So if you want that the data you are writing to the database needs to be deleted, then blockchain is definitely not a solution for you, because when you write something on the blockchain, it can never be deleted, or updated. Well, you can change the current state of an object, but you cannot override it. So you also always see the history of what you have written to the blockchain. The next question, if that's true, so if you do not want to delete that data, are you willing, do you want to write sensitive identifiers to your data store? Because a pure blockchain is meant to be open to everyone. So you cannot, even by law, write sensitive information like personal information to a blockchain. So if you want to share sensitive information, please do not use blockchain. Use an encrypted database or another solution. But if you're not going to store sensitive information, then we go to the next question. All the parties that are writing the data to the data store, do they basically trust each other? Because if you know each other, if you trust each other, you can make an agreement and you can make a managed database. You can manage it by yourself. But if the parties are unknown for all the other parties, if you have a hard time deciding who should control a data store, then the next question is, do you want a tamper-proof log of all rights to the data store? And that is everything that is written cannot be undone. So you always have all the transactions can never be undone. So you always see them. And if you do not want that, go to a database. But that if you can answer all true or yes to all this question, you might have a useful blockchain use case. So for yourself, for your own company, for your own use case, go online or contact me for a decision tree when to use a blockchain. But if I have said, be very careful what you put on the blockchain, what data you put on that blockchain. Once it's there, it can never be deleted, and never put confidential data on the blockchain either. So in this case, in the floral sector, we only put identifiers on the blockchain. So back to the protocol. To implement that set of rules, to implement the agreements, and if you want to use the existing systems, you have to write connectors for each system. And that can be a connector for Avalanche, Teleape, SRP, or even Microsoft Excel. And a connector implements the rules of the protocol and has a connection with the system and a connection with the blockchain. And if you can see in the image, in the upper part of the screen, we have the system. And in the green area, that is where the connector. So we have a part that is tailor-made. It's the left side, maatwerk. It's in Dutch. Sorry for that. That's the tailor-made part of it. And we have the API that connects to the blockchain and connects to the other connector. So that's very standard for the implementation of the protocol. So that two components combined create the connector. So if we go back to the example of 20 trolleys with poles and plates on it, the auction enters the transaction into their system and physically transacts the trolleys to the client. And in the current situation, the client enters the data into their own system and receives the trolleys. And in the proposed solution, it goes a little bit different. What you see here is that when we go a few images back, yes, do that, you can see in the current situation, everyone has their own system and there's no connection between those systems. But because we have proposed a solution with a protocol and every system is using a connector, what you see is that if every system uses a connector for its own system, that the connectors can connect to each other. That's why it's a connector. But also that they can use the blockchain as a common frame of reference in this case. So when we go to the example, is that on the right-hand side we have the container centrale. That's the depot. That is the party that is issuing the trolleys, that is creating the trolleys. And if they said, well, Floro Holland needs to have 20 new trolleys, they entering the data into their own system and they physically send the trolleys to Royal Floro Holland. And in the current situation, Floro Holland is entering the data. But in the new situation, because the system of Container Centrale has a connector with the blockchain, When the containercentrale is creating the transaction in their own system with the 20 trolleys, they automatically generate a transaction on the blockchain where they say, well, we have a unique identifier of this transaction, and we know to which party it's going, and we know a timestamp. And that's all the information that's going to be stored on the blockchain. So physically, the trolleys are transacted to Royal Flora Holland, and they have a unique identifier. And when they use that unique identifier in their own system, the system automatically knows I have to get that data from another system. So they go to the blockchain, look up that unique identifier, and the information that's stored on the blockchain, they can see it's coming from the system of containercentrale. And then the connector is making a connection with containercentrale and is receiving the data of the transaction. So the exchange of data is taking place outside of the blockchain. So the sensitive information is going outside of the blockchain. That's a very important thing. And that's regarding the whole chain. So if the loaded trolleys are going to the retailer, and the example that the retailer stores or uses 2 trolleys to store well, other flowers in the shop on the trolley, and there's still 20. But if the transport company, in this case Van der Slot, Royal Van der Slot Transport, is picking up the trolleys, and they have an order for 20 trolleys, but also receiving 18, what they can say in their system is, I came for 20 trolleys, but I only receive 18. They can say that in their system, and on the blockchain is put that the transaction physically is going is all right. So physically the stream is always going on, but in the administration there is there is a flag put that says this transaction is not all right. There is something missing here, and at a time you know exactly where the lost trolleys are, and maybe you got a dispute out of it, or if you want to return all the trolleys, you know exactly where they are. So that is the first use case we are going to build in this solution. So did we fix actually the problem? Yes, we know where the lost trolleys are. There is a consistent administration and the right party is paying, and we can reduce stress because the entrance of data is much less. So how does the future look like? What challenges are we facing and what are we going to do? Well, first of all, with the stakeholders, TVM, Royal Flora Holland, Containercentrale, T-Consult and Royal Van der Slot, we are going to establish a foundation. And that's a legal structure to host this in. Then we, of course, going to develop the protocol, create a pilot, connect the parties, and at least, and that's a very important part of this protocol, this solution is going to be open source. So the goal is that every party in this chain is going to use it. I'm looking to Karen. I see you in my screen. Do we have still time for another example? So this is sort of my reserve example of do you have any questions? All right. So in short, another example of using blockchain and creating trust through transparency, but in this case in the dairy industry. And we did that together with QLib, and QLib is the company in the Netherlands that testing all the raw milk in the Netherlands. And they tested on fat, on protein, lactose, bacteria, and based on that, the farmers are paid. And 17% of the milk in the dairy chain that is not going to the factories that the farmer has a contract with, it is going to another factory. And well, that is not a problem on itself, but the factory uses the milk to produce a product that has to deliver the quality information to the COKZ. That's the Dutch authority on supervising the dairy industry. And the COKZ roughly comes every 3 months. So you have to provide all the information of the last 3 months. And for your own farmers, well, that's not a problem because you have all the information. But for the milk you bought from other factories, you don't have that information on the quality. So you have to call or to email them. And that's a very painful process. So we made also a blockchain solution for that. All the raw milk with the information about quality is put on a permissioned blockchain, and only the parties that are involved in that transaction can see that information. What you can also see is the mutations that are made on that data. For example, a record is changed in the system from regular milk to meadow milk, and of course that affects the price of the milk. And this solution gives a lot of real-time insight, and all the information is available at any time. And with this blockchain, we created a new infrastructure for the Dutch dairy industry. And well, we make it possible to build more use cases and with that trust through transparency. So I want to thank you very much for your attention and the summit for having me.
And thank you for this presentation. Yeah, we liked it a lot. Also very concrete examples at the end. One question from my side to end this part of before we go into the break is what would you currently need from people now tuning in or watching the video maybe later on the website?
Well, there are a few things you see regarding blockchain. The first of all is a gap in challenge, of a gap in knowledge. At the decision point, the decision level in companies, there is not enough knowledge to make the right decision. But when you are going to use blockchain, it's not a technical challenge, because technical challenges we can solve, but it's more like an organizational challenge, because it is in a chain and there are a lot of parties, so you have to find the right parties to start a proof of concept or to start the initiative there.
Very, very clear advice, and also a very basic advice. It also maybe shows the phase that we're now in, that it actually starts with access to knowledge, and you contributed to this with your presentation. So thank you so much. You will be also available for networking through the Wonder app, and if people want to send you a message, you're open to this, right?
Yes, of course. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Great. There are no questions so far from the audience, so this gives me the opportunity actually to add a little bit to the break that was already planned.